and welcome to this new channel. This channel is for people who know a decent amount of Python, and since this is a start episode, we're going to be doing something a little more special. And what we're going to be making is a rainbow circle. Now, to make this rainbow circle, you need to know some trigonometry, know some math, and if you don't know this, you don't need to watch this, or even if you're not interested in trigonometry, you don't need to watch this video. But the way we're going to be doing this is that we're going to be making a rainbow circle is that we don't have a function called rainbow circle and turtle. We have to be making every single point of the circle. So basically what we're going to be doing is that we're going to graph every single point on this circle, and we're going to put each of these points, they will have some certain color, and that color will be random. But anyway, first we need to start with the harder part. How are we going to be graphing so many points on this circle? Like, how are we going to be graphing so many points here so that it can make a circle shape? Well, that goes with the idea of this. This idea is that, like, let's say we have a circle and we're going to be making a triangle on it. So R, the longest side, the radius of the circle, this is going to be the longest side of our triangle. Now, there's a point that intersects this circle, and that point has some x coordinate and a y coordinate. Now, R is one of the sides of the triangle, but there's two more: y, which is this side right here, and x, which is this side here. So you can see that this coordinate is equal to x and y. So the upness, the vertical and the horizontal. No, I mean vice versa. So the horizontal and the vertical, that's going to be these coordinates. So what we need to do is that we need to find x and we need to find y. And the way we're going to do that is on one thing, and it goes with sine. Basically, the sine of the angle of this triangle, this part here, and we're going to say the angle is 50. So the sine of the angle, which we're going to say is 50, that sine, that is equal to y divided by r, the radius, or the radius of the circle, and the longest line of this triangle. And then the cos, or the cosine of 50, the angle of this triangle, that is equal to, now I know I'm not making the numbers so well because I'm not really good in writing on the computer, but that is going to be equal to x divided by r. So now that we know these two statements, we can figure out y and x just by multiplying these sides by r, the radius of the circle, and the longest part of the triangle. Now, let's say we know the radius of the circle and we know that it is 50. So now that we know that y is equal to 50 sine 50 and x is equal to 50 cos 50. Now, we can to figure out every single point, we can just start cos from 0 all the way to the last angle, 360. And by that way, graphing all those points, we will get the whole circle shape. So now, one more thing we need to talk about is that how are we going to make a random color for this? And I'm just going to show you. You can see that I've already beforehand made this code, but I'll be showing you line to this. But we need to figure out how to make some random color for every point. And this function will do it right here. What this function does is that it picks up a random x from 0 by getting a random integer from 0 to 255. And you can see I put 254 in the code. It's just that random, the end digit, you have to add it by y. It's going to be added by 1. And then for y, it's going to be the same. And then for z, it's going to be the same. All the same as x. And then we're going to return a tuple as this. Now, if you actually look closely, you might see that this tuple that we're actually returning out, this is going to be some RGB number, because x stands for R, y stands for G, and Z stands for B. So we made some RGB number, and that's how we're going to be making the random colors. Now that we have this RGB number, we just have to put our pen color as it, and then boom. Okay, So let's start with our code, and first we import math, and the reason we're importing math is that for the sine and the cos and the radians, and I'll explain to you why we need that later. Then we're going to be importing turtle. We need that to plot the circle and do all the graphics. And then the first thing we're going to do is put turtle pen size 4, because if you put the size too small, you really can't see everything. You really can't see all like the colors. It's like kind of hard to see. It's going to be pretty small. But we also need to import random to make our random color. So first we're going to be entering the radius, and now we're going to be putting this rand color function I already told you about. But then here is the part I didn't tell you about. So for I in range 0 to 361, and the reason I put 361 is because the end digit in range, that's minus by 1. So it's actually in I in range 0 to 360. Ang is equal to math.radians I. And so basically what this is doing is that what math does when it does sine and cos, it thinks you're putting it in radians. So first I'm converting this degree into radian and then putting in a sine and cos. So first we can get x by multiplying r, which I put here. The user will input the radius. So the radius times math.sine, it's sin, it's just an abbreviation of the angle, or of ang, and then y is equal to the radius times math.cos, which is the abbreviation to of the angle. So now that we know all these things, we need to put the color mode of the turtle to 255, and then we need to put our pen. We need to make our pen color become this RGB color. So the pen color will be a rand color, and it will be this. It will be a random RGB color. Now, if I is equal to 0, turtle.pen up. So you might be like, wait, why am I doing that? And that's because of this next sign code, turtle.go to xy. So in the first increment, if you're doing this, it will show a line if you don't have this code, because it won't be penning up there. Except you might be like, wait, why do we need if I is equal to 0? I mean, you can just do it for every single iteration. Well, if you do it for every single iteration, we're not even going to see the whole circle. So we can only do it for the first iteration. So now I put turtle.pen down. This turtle.pen down only matters for the first iteration, but I decided not to go that far with if I is equal to 0, turtle.pen down 2. I just put turtle.pen down because it'll be fine in every iteration. And this code will keep on looping and looping and looping and looping through every angle, making every single point until finally it's done. And then we're going to hide our turtle because it's going to be covering a small part of the circle. And then we're going to main loop. So it's as simple as that. So now let's run our code and see what happens. I'm going to be running it at a radius of 70, and it actually takes a little while. It takes more than the normal turtle.circle function takes, except at the end, even though it takes a long time, it's pretty cool. Anyways, now that we're done with that, I'll see you later. Bye!